Our first guest, Beverly Elliott, plays Granny on the hit show Once Upon a Time, which shoots not too far from here in Steveston. Thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you.
Now the show is it's set in modern day. It's fairy tales. You're in the show. You can probably explain a little better than I can. Why don't you explain for the viewers what it's all about?
Sure. Do you watch it?
I have seen some of it. I haven't seen every single episode. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, I haven't seen every single episode, and I'm in it. Okay.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, it shoots in a lot of it in Steveston, and there's a fictional town called Storybrooke, Maine. And first season, I won't give away too many spoilers because I know some people are just catching on and watching it on Netflix. But first season, it's all these people that live in the town, and we don't know that we're actual fairy tale characters. So Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Snow White, the Evil Queen. We all live and function in this town, but really, as the first season unfolds, we find out who we are in another life. So there's parallel universes happening at the same time. So that's revealed, and my character is Granny from the Red Riding Hood story.
But you're not like typical little old Granny. You're kind of a little bit more.
Don't remind me of my grandma, that's for sure. Yeah.
Good, this is good.
She doesn't have a crossbow.
Yeah, because the way the writers have written the show, which is fantastic for every character, they put spins on the typical, like on the princesses, for example. They're not just, oh, I can't wait to find a husband and get married and live happily ever after. They're all warriors, like they're strong and they fight and they make mistakes and they don't really kill because nobody really dies in fairy tale land. Well, a couple people do, but they come back in another universe. But my character, Granny, rather than having, I love how the writers have written me, rather than cookie making, you know,
knitting,
yeah, well, I do knit, but I'm a feisty, crossbow carrying, strong warrior as well. And so it was really great when the script came in and I went, oh, that's who I am.
Right.
Because we don't know. You only get a script if you're in the next episode.
Right.
And as it unfolded in the first season, we were told nothing, really. It was just
So
like...
when you get that script, you're like, yes, I'm back in. It's good to be back.
I'm still here.
Other people are, oh,
Yeah.
me. Okay, other people are,
I think what's great about the show is the fact that wherever you are in the world, you can relate to these fairy tale characters, and that's what I think has helped it gain such popularity. And you've recently had the chance to go to some of these fan fests in Europe as well, is that right?
I have. It's crazy how popular this show is. It's really crazy. I went to 2 fan fests in London, England, and I went to Atlanta. I just got back from Anaheim.
Wow.
Did a fan fest there.
What were those like? Can you tell us about some of your experiences with the fandom? Has anyone ever dressed up like Granny? Or...
Okay, not many people dress up like Granny. Lots of people, Granny's not sexy. Right?
Right,
And all the
yes.
people are like, they're dressing up like Snow White or the Evil Queen or Red Riding Hood. We've had a couple of Grannies, which are great, and I really appreciate that, but I get it if they don't want to come, you know, looking like an old lady. And but people want their picture taken with Granny because a lot of people come as a Red Riding Hood. And they just are happy to meet someone from the show because the show's had such a big impact because, as you said, everyone knows the fairy tales.
Yeah.
It's a universal story. All these stories, they've been around for a long time and people know them around the world, so they want to be a part of it.
And so are you in character? Do people expect you to be Granny when they see you, or
Are they disappointed when you're just Beverly?
Yeah.
They're surprised. They're totally surprised. I'm not in character. I just go as myself. We, all the guests, we're called the guests that are there at these conventions, and it's everyone that comes, they dress up. A lot of them, some of them don't, but a lot dress up in costumes of their favorite character, or bring 2 or 3 costumes for the weekend and spend months making these costumes, and hours, and they're beautiful. It's unbelievable. They'll copy completely something that Eduardo has designed.
Wow. Well, and often across the road to the convention center, they have the anime conventions and all the other fan expos, and it's a very unique and diverse crowd to see.
I had no idea.
The costumes are crazy. It's so cool, though.
I didn't even know it existed. I had no idea until I was on this show and was invited to meet in its fandom. Like there's words I didn't even know. Cosplay. That means you're dressed in a costume and you're going to play. And sometimes they have special cosplay events where you can do sword fighting and or you can reenact a scene. And it's great because fans get a chance to express themselves creatively. They might not do that for a living. They're not living this kind of life, but they get to take what they love, you know, a show that they love, and play in the world of it. So
because your show has really developed a bit of a cult following.
Yeah.
huge. And for me, what I notice, and maybe it's because I'm playing a grandmother figure, but there's so many young girls, like young teenagers or tweens, I guess, that this show speaks to because it empowers women. You know, before it was always the princess, as I said, just falling in love.
Damsel in distress.
Totally, but now they're strong, and it speaks to these gals, and it gives them strength. You know, people come up and just tell me their stories of how once I started watching Once Upon a Time, my life changed, or I had something to believe in and to hang on to, and like I've held people in my arms crying, and
wow.
it's amazing. One woman was in the hospital and she was going stir crazy because she'd had this operation. She was in there for 7 months. Started watching Once Upon a Time. Just thought, okay, I can. It just gave her strength, and now she works at these conventions.
Oh wow.
So
it's nice to
who
know.
knew?
Yeah, people are appreciating the show, but also changing lives. That's great.
Yeah.
So the Fan Fest that's happening in New West, it's May 31st. You're going to be there with a couple of other characters as well?
I am, a couple of dwarves.
Oh, a couple of dwarves, okay.
Michael.
And you're doing a Q&A, and so people can come out and ask some questions?
They can. We're going to do a Q&A on Sunday at 5, I think.
Great.
And we'll be there for the weekend, signing autographs, meeting people, talking, taking pictures. But there's so much going on. There is sword fighting lessons. There's a lot of anime people. There's other speakers coming. It's endless.
Maybe some Granny fans dressed up like Granny.
That would be nice. That would be
You need to create like a name, like a grand fan, or like, you know what I mean, some sort of combo. Do you have one yet?
Well, I did on Twitter, because
Okay.
when you get on the show, you have to take a.
You're big on Twitter as well.
I didn't even know what Twitter was,
Yeah.
and the dwarves got me hooked up. So but then I started leaving little quotes of wisdom every day, and to my granny's fannies.
Okay.
Granny's fannies.
Yeah,
you go.
I thought that was fine, but apparently in England and in Australia, that means
Okay.
something completely different.
Yes, grannies, fannies.
Outrage.
That could be a
outrage.
whole other following of people you may
I know,
getting.
I know,
Wow.
I know. But it's funny, when you go on Twitter, all of a sudden someone will come on and say, hey, say hello to Kuwait. Say hi to Brazil.
So
We
yeah.
love you in Portugal.
International. That's so cool. Yeah.
It's shocking.
neat to
It's a
see
small world.
how big it's become. Well, thank you so much for coming and telling us some stories.
Yeah, and for the fans out there, come to FanFest, Northwest FanFest,
Yes.
next weekend.
Yes, so the Once Upon a Time Q&A session with Beverly Elliott and 2 of her fellow cast members is happening May 31st at the Anvil Center in New Westminster. Northwest Fan Fest runs May 29th to the 31st, and you can check out their website for more information.